This week, we're discussing the movies Anniversary and Bugonia. For TV, we're picking up where we left off last week with The Last Frontier and The Chair Company.
And for wrestling, we're doing the usual TV recaps for SmackDown and Raw, and for Saturday night's main event, which was the event from this past weekend.
Excellent. This is We Should Pod That. Episode 12. Let's do it.
We should watch that with Ashley and Sushi. Feel the vibes, it's a night so lush.
Ashley, what do we have for this week?
Hey, Sush. So our first movie for this week is The Anniversary. It's directed by, I'm probably going to say this wrong, Jan Komasa.
Okay.
He's a Polish filmmaker behind the films Corpus Christi and Suicide Room. And Anniversary is his first English language debut. It's co-written with Lori Rosine Gambino, and they wrote it during lockdown. They described it as a, quote, intimate civil war, unquote, a family drama set against rising political tension. It stars Diane Lane and Kyle Chandler, and, of course, one of our favorites, Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah.
And the film tracks one family's 25th anniversary celebration as radical ideas and social unrest slowly fractured the world. So IMDb describes this movie as a provocative thriller about a very close-knit family that's torn apart as a new movement known as The Change envelops the country. So this is a movie where you got a wacky outsider, sort of strange girlfriend to Dylan O'Brien's character, who is a son of the people having the anniversary. And she slowly, you realize that she has a connection with Diane Lane. Diane Lane was a previous professor of hers who was kind of troubled by her character's extreme ideas. And basically, she sort of starts to tear the family apart, sort of by manipulating them to turn against each other, and also manipulating Dylan O'Brien to sort of get onto her political agenda. And it starts with this 25th anniversary celebration, but then it picks up a year in the future, a year after that, a year after that, and you see how their lives progress. You know, it was an interesting movie. We had two movies this week with kind of extreme thoughts and, you know, political extremism, you know, people who are really looking for answers in a chaotic world, which is something we certainly live in. I found that really interesting. I really liked basically all the performances. I think that Dylan O'Brien, I think that he is a fantastic douchebag. It's something we haven't seen him do a lot of.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's really fascinating to see his character. He's basically the only one who isn't an overachiever in his family.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And you see how that seems to make him feel down about himself. He doesn't feel included. And then this woman, Liz, comes into his life, and she very much manipulates him to feel like he has more control in what she's doing. She praises him a lot and kind of grooms him to be her number two. And it's really interesting to see how that all plays out.
Cool.
Yeah, what do you think, Sush?
So I didn't really look into this movie much and just saw the trailer a few times, but the plot seemed interesting, and obviously you read out that Dylan O'Brien has been one of our favorites. I think that he's evolved into a great actor since like Maze Runner, and I've really been enjoying like all the different roles that he's had in recent movies. So, you know, it was nice to see him in this. Hopefully this doesn't dissuade anyone out there, but without revealing too much, you know, and touching like spoiler territory, I just wanted to mention that I felt like this movie was a bit more literal and like delves a little bit deeper into the subject matter that most of the plot summaries mention.
Yes.
Yeah. But other than that, like I thought this was a pretty average but serviceable thriller. as far as the plot goes.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like you were saying, I felt like the best part of the movie was the actor portrayals of the characters. Even if the characters themselves sometimes didn't seem very well written.
Yeah. There's definitely, I think it was a good movie, but I think it leaned a little shallower than
exactly.
we're going to talk about.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So it gets into the topics, but it's a little bit more surface level, or at least it's dealing in kind of archetypes more than human beings, it feels.
I was just going to add, just know it kind of deals with some subject matter relating to the current political climate in the U.S. So it might affect your decision depending on how comfortable you are seeing that kind of stuff, like outside the privacy of your own home or your friend or family circle. So, just a heads up kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely not escapist. It feels very of right now.
Yeah.
To the point where the way things progress as this Liz character takes a more prominent role in society, because it mirrors so closely some of the things that are happening in our own political world, it was a little weird to decide whether I was looking at this as if it's supposed to be realistic. I feel like this could almost be like science fiction. It could feel like science fiction or fantasy if we saw it 10 years ago. But seeing it now, it feels very real. And I was sort of doing mental math in my head, like, oh, yeah, it would happen like that. Oh, no, it wouldn't happen like that. Oh, yeah, it has happened like that.
Right.
So that was kind of interesting. And, it was written during the pandemic. So when there was definitely some extremism taken root. But as we know, this has been a year of great political change, I'm going to say. A lot of upheaval, a lot of really strong ideological beliefs. It's not going to be a relaxing watch, but I think there's a lot of fun to be had in the performances. So a lot of good aspects, but, I wouldn't pick it out as the best movie on this topic. And I guess that goes into the ratings for this movie. So for enjoyment, I gave it a 3. I think it was solid. I think I was along for the ride, but a lot of that is due to the performances. I think that was my favorite part. For quality, I gave a little bit lower at 2.5, and that's a lot having to deal with just some of the suspension of disbelief issues I had with it because we're in a similar time. And also just that I think it would have been great if, the scripts, the characters were a little bit deeper. Yeah. What'd you think, Sish?
For enjoyment, I gave it a 3. It was okay. I mean, I didn't think it was awful, but I didn't think it was particularly great. But like I said, the acting was pretty strong, so that helped a lot for the enjoyment factor and the quality as well, because I feel like the story is kind of shallow and the characters in a lot of ways come off pretty shallow. So on quality, I really just put it right in the middle at a 2.5.
All right. Well, next we're going into a movie that is anything but shallow. It's very deeply weird. Bugonia. This movie is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who has written and directed many amazing films. It's written by Succession and the Menu's Will Tracy, and it's basically a bizarre, darkly comic thriller about 2 eco-extremists who kidnap a pharmaceutical CEO who they think is an alien out to destroy humanity. It stars Emma Stone, who also produced it. She shaves her head in the role. She's all in. And it blends paranoia, satire, and sci-fi. And it's definitely a reflection of modern conspiracy culture and our uneasy faith in those who claim to save the world. IMDb describes it as 2 conspiracy-obsessed young men kidnap the high-powered CEO of what I just told you, basically. And it's interesting. It is technically about 2 eco-extremists, but it's really about one who is manipulating someone else. And it is almost like, I was reading recently that to be a cult, it's not necessarily a large political organization or religious organization. It can really be a dynamic between a family or a group of people.
Right.
And very much it's a cult what's happening. Jesse Plemons' character has very, very strong beliefs. You can tell that he is intelligent, he's well-read, but he is someone who has been through intense tragedy through his life, multiple tragedies. He's someone who's been really like a victim, both literally and like of circumstance. And he seems so desperate to come up with an answer as to why his life is the way it is, why the things he sees wrong are the way they are, that he becomes convinced that Emma Stone's character is an alien. And what he does is he brings along his cousin Don, who I did a little reading about. The actor who plays him is on the autism spectrum. It's his first time acting. He was cast right out of high school. And he brings a really wonderful performance because watching it, I didn't know if he had like an intellectual issue or if it was a spectrum or if it was something else. You don't quite know, but you can tell that he's someone who's not in the same position as Jesse Plemons to make decisions about things like politics and risk and life. And the actor is really wonderful and very innocent and trusting, which also is a nice counterpart to Jesse Plemons' character. So there's really a lot here. What did you think, Sish?
Just overall, I think it was crazy that it took us this long to finally see a Yorgos Lanthimos
Oh my
film.
God, I know.
But I think this one was a good one. It's our first. As I've heard, sometimes he leans a bit more weird and comedic, but I think this movie also fared really well as like a thriller for most of the runtime. Yeah, I thought it was good overall. I initially assumed that Jesse Plemons' character, Teddy, was just going to be a typical conspiracy theorist, but it's cool that the further into the movie we get, we realize how layered the character is and like how a lot of his motivations and theories are kind of tied with the other people who are involved in all this. Emma Stone's look in this movie before and after the event she goes through kind of keep you wondering like whether she is an alien or not, you know, because we have no idea really on like the surface level. And yeah, just a lot of crazy, weird, but beautiful imagery and some jump scares. But overall, I think it was just a really captivating experience. And I'd definitely be interested in seeing more of his movies that audiences would probably consider more comedic. Because I think like now that we've experienced the tension and drama that he can kind of create, I'd like to see the other side of it. So for enjoyment, I ended up giving it a 3.5. And for quality, I gave it a 4. I thought that the way that it was shot and also how the movie was assembled with like different scenes cutting to, you know, flashbacks and things like that were interesting. You know, I feel like or at least I noticed that some of it isn't literal and it was kind of symbolic, so that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it, but I had the same thing as you. My enjoyment was a little lower than quality. I went 3.5 for enjoyment, quality for 4. I think that it's a movie that's extremely tense. I think you said captivating earlier, and that really sums it up for me. Normally, when we see a movie together, we'll sort of look at each other like, okay, you know, or what's this? Or like we'll point at something sometimes quietly. And this is one where I don't think I turned to you at all.
Yeah.
I was completely captivated. Like it's one where you cannot predict what's going to happen. You just can't. It's really, really interesting. I would have scored it higher on enjoyment, but being tense for that long is a little stressful. But yeah, I gave it a 4, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some more of his movies. I'd love for us to go back and see some of the older ones, and looking forward to seeing what he does next.
We're ratings twins this week.
Oh my God, we are! Twinsies! Excellent. All right, it's time for The Chair Company. I don't want to say this is our favorite thing on the pod, but like it is. We are so into this show. So this is episode 4, and it's called Bald Harmon Birthplace, and then in parentheses, Disputed. Again, it's so impossible to get in all the funny moments, but I'll do my best on the summary here. So it starts with a flashback. Ron and Barb are at a holiday party. They're kind of tipsy. They're feeling optimistic. And Barb starts talking about how she wants to start her own business, making stylish portable breast pumps. And then Ron jumps in with his own dreams of creating something meaningful and fun. And he's excited. He wants them both to quit their jobs right away. And for a moment, they really think they can start over. Then it jumps back to the present. We've got Ron and one of our faves, Mike Santini. They're watching this eerie surveillance footage that ended last episode. The guy with the Jason mask on his porch shaking his head. And Ron deletes it. He's trying to sort of bury the evidence, doesn't want his wife to know, but they're pretty freaked out. They're trying to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Ron gets home after hanging out with Mike, and Barb's wearing this futuristic eye mask that someone she knows invented. And she's talking about an investor meeting she had, but said that didn't go well. But she kind of brushes it off. Then we get, of course, Ron looking into Tekka. So he built a weird spreadsheet, which I really loved, and I want to see the whole spreadsheet.
Oh my God, I love the spreadsheet.
It's so good. And it's definitely how I would deal with this kind of situation, too. My favorite is the cell that has works in the nude inside. Yeah. And all of a sudden he goes, oh my gosh, and he calls Mike, who, by the way, he answers the phone and you hear moaning. And he's like, are you watching porn? And he's like, nah, I'm just listening to it.
Oh, man.
Some people listen to the radio.
Yeah, Mike Santini listens to crazy shit, man.
Yeah. And so Ron tells him that he thinks Tekka's hiding something inside the chairs. So as paranoia's ramping up, we see another scene where Ron's at home and a stranger bangs on his door demanding the Beatles figurines that he supposedly sold him on eBay. Now, this is a move from someone who's impersonating him. So this guy's out there being weird, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. Then at work, things are getting bad as well, of course. HR pulls him in. Because they have a monitor, someone who's coming, an outside observer for him and the woman whose skirt he looked at.
Oh my God, they're still on this.
Yeah, because they discovered his high school yearbook. There was a photo with him and her together. Then modeling agencies start calling him and rejecting his submissions. One said that his face was too aggressive. And someone is clearly using his name and has a fake email set up for him and is doing crazy things.
Damn.
So then we've got flashbacks which show how Ron once tried, and as we know, failed, to pitch his old Jeep therapy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he pitched the idea to an investor, and he nearly kills the guy in the process. Yeah. So he couldn't get the investor to smile, so he just keeps driving faster and faster till they hit a log and the guy hits his head and freaks out. Yeah. So then we go back to the present. Ron decides he's going to try to steal a Tekka chair from the office for proof so he can investigate something, what's going on inside the chair. He tries to bribe another one of her favorite side characters, the janitor, the wheelbarrow janitor, to sneak it to his car. Then he's trying to bring it to the car, but then the boss brings a surprise beignet truck, which That's kind of a nice detail. I'd love to have a beignet truck at work. And he's not able to steal the chair. So that plan goes out the window. Then comes the kicker, which is when he gets back to his desk, Ron gets a, quote, survey from Tekka. It's like a Google form. He goes through the questions, and at the end it says, Ron, are we done? And as you can imagine, he freaks out. He types fuck in a Word document. I love it. I love the use of Microsoft here.
Yeah, it's great.
So then Mike promises to help Ron get his family out of danger by sending what he calls, quote, a bad guy to pose as an exterminator. So they have to leave the house. Now, the guy freaks out Barb by being like, I found this bug in your underwear drawer near your tiny, tiny panties. So that's a little terrifying. And the family ends up relocating to their daughter Natalie and fiance Tara's place. And that's a whole thing. Tara, upon hearing that they are going to stay with them, says, but it's sex night. And then they get there. She tells the son not to jork it. And then Barb and Ron stay in what they call the burger room, which reeks from a half-eaten prop. That's just like they're taking photos of burgers and never threw it away.
Oh, hell yeah.
Whew. Okay, so then back at work, Ron learns that Douglas, the weird bubble guy, and also the coworker whose name he used when he was searching for Tekka information at a city clerk's office, he was found trapped under his fridge for days. Okay. Meanwhile, Ron's boss scolds him after a bizarre raise email sent from Ron's, quote, personal account. Another identity theft hit. Then that night, Mike shows up with the stolen Tekka chair in his trunk. He stole it for him. That's nice. Yeah. I hope he's paying Mike well. We haven't gotten into the details of payment.
Well, I don't think he's paying Mike $50K. I don't know what the amount was. I think it was $50K, right? Because he normally gets $400 for this type of stuff. Okay, whatever.
So Ron investigates this chair, and he becomes convinced that they're smuggling drugs inside it because there's one missing part, and he thinks that they're shoving the drugs into where that missing part would go. He ends up confiding in his daughter, Natalie. She sort of says, I think it's nice the way you take a second seat to Mom. He's like, no, I don't. I'm uncovering a vast criminal conspiracy. And then he tells her all of these things about the chairs. She looks freaked out. She's like, can I look at your phone to see that? And hands it back to him. And then she turns to him and she said, Dad, I love you. I trust you. And I've got you. And it's a nice emotional moment. But after he leaves, what we realize is that she'd put a tracker on his phone, and she's watching as he zooms away with Mike Santini. So Ron rushes out to meet Santini after getting a cryptic call that says, I've got Ken Tucker right here. Ken Tucker being one of the board members of Tekka. And then as he speeds off, we flash back to years earlier. Bob's comforting a young Natalie who's standing looking into the garage as Ron sort of spirals and talks to his dog about his failed dreams. And Barb tells Natalie, all we can do is tell him we love him, we trust him, and we've got him.
Damn.
So there it is, my friends, full circle. The words kind of echo. The family promise that's supposed to save him. We'll see how it goes. So, another really insane episode. What'd you think, Sush?
Well, first thing, I just want to tell you that you did a great job because I didn't even realize that Ron's daughter puts like a tracker on his phone.
Oh, yeah. Sneaky.
Yeah. Good spot on that because I had no idea. Next thing is it's therapy.
Oh.
For veterans.
So that they can get the adrenaline high.
Oh, my God.
But it's not dangerous like war.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
So that's his premise of the Jeep tour, I guess.
Oh, my God. First major thing, I guess, in my list is I still love this show. Let's assume that that's just how I feel about it until I say otherwise, okay? I mean, there's no point in me spending more time on covering that part of it when there's actual details to go over. So let's get moving. As much as I want stuff that Tim Robinson is in to be wildly different, this episode kind of made me realize that still wasn't going to happen with the chair company. That's not a complaint. I'm just all crossed up like I'm watching most of this stuff. You know, we're in week 4 of my Is Ron Crazy watch. And for a while, I was back and forth on whether or not I felt he was based on the events of this episode. But I finally concluded that he isn't.
Oh.
Yeah, he might be getting ahead of himself about what's actually happening with Tekka and why, since I don't remember him mentioning any of the proof about the whole opioid specifics of the smuggling part. But I don't deny that they're trying to cover something up.
Yeah.
I think he's just passionate, you know, like before with the Jeep tours, he was just passionate about a horrible idea. So, you know, considering he's in fucking Ohio.
Yeah, dude.
Which I'm sure is just boring ass planes. But it's not his fault, really. Like, not completely, at least, because Barb apparently didn't stop him, right? You know?
Yeah, it does seem like she reluctantly supports him.
Yeah, so she just enables him and also asks her daughter to play along with being supportive about his ideas. Like, Ashley, if I ever told you I was going to start a Jeep tours business in the scenic state of Illinois we live in, the farthest I'd get away with it probably before you sat me down and seriously talked me out of it, I would think at least would be maybe like you'd have like a brief laugh about it before you did that.
I mean, yes, but also I have a mother who cheers for both sides of the team when she saw my brother play basketball. So, you know, I try to be supportive, but also, yeah, you know, you'd have to have a heart to heart.
Yeah. But I love Ron's spreadsheet.
Yes.
You know, where he's collecting all the info he's found on Tekka and has a whole ass cell that just has the phrase "work in the nude" in it.
I love it.
Mike Santini. I'm not sure if I'm coming around to him or our baseline average for weird shit has like subconsciously been raised since we've been introduced to him or what.
I can see that, yeah.
But the dude had me cracking up so much in this episode, especially like arguing and clarifying his point that he's listening to but not watching porn outside of Ron's house.
I also like that they call it porno. I don't know why, but that always makes it funnier to me.
Tara is weird as fuck, but I kind of love how she's so loud and crass. Like cracking the joke about how it's sex night when Natalie's on the phone with her parents and telling Seth he could crash on her couch but can't jack it.
Yeah. And she apparently has to have olives in everything she eats.
Oh, yeah. I was going to bring that up, too. But I'm just, I did want to say that I like that she calls the room that she uses to apparently take these marketing photo shoots for the Wendy's burger, the burger room.
You just want a burger room.
I love burgers, so I love that, you know. I mean, I'm not, you know, nothing I'm not willing to admit. But yeah, her olive thing is really weird. And then the last note that I have is just that, man, Tekka sure knows how to mess with Ron's life in like the weirdest way possible.
I love it. It's so specific.
Yes.
Really makes you wonder about who's doing this.
Yeah, they're not like
they're
especially like bad things. Like they're just kind of weird and maybe sometimes like inconvenient and annoying.
Yeah. Asking for a raise could even be a good thing in some circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
But unusual. Well, as usual, I can't wait to see what happens next week. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Oy. All right. Are you ready to get into Last Frontier?
For sure.
Excellent. So we got episode 5 called Arnak, and I got a mission. I don't remember what Arnak relates to.
Me neither.
So let's just get into the summary.
That's cool.
So It starts deep in the Alaskan wilderness. A native hunter stumbles onto a blood-soaked young woman collapsed in the snow. So he covers her with the deer hide he was hauling and carries her back to his camp where his community tends to her wounds between games of bingo. Now, meanwhile, Frank's team is piecing together their investigation. A courier for Havelock arrived 24 hours before the crash, which kind of suggests that he knew when the plane would go down. And they're asking themselves, like, why would they crash it in Alaska? What's here that would be worth killing for? Then we jump to headquarters and we see that the mood's a little somber. They're prepping for a fundraiser, which is an old school, they call it a potlatch, for the fallen Marshal Donnie's family. And that's when Havelock calls. So he calls and asks to speak with Frank. He apologizes for Frank's loss, and then he hints about their secret, asking if he can trust him. Frank says yes, then Havelock hangs up. We don't know what the secret is. Then moments later, Frank's wife, Sarah, calls in a panic. She's discovered that Luke and Kira are missing, and a trooper's been found dead at the cabin. And that's when we realize that the girl from the beginning, who was hard to recognize, she was so injured, it was Kira, Luke's girlfriend.
Yeah.
So then, out in the storm, Luke's on the run with the unstable fugitive played by Clifton Collins Jr. I know he has a character name, but I like the name Clifton Collins Jr. a lot, so I'm going to just say that. So he is a paranoid ex-DARPA engineer who once murdered 6 federal agents. He believes the government's spying through everything, like phone lines, power lines, even Luke's orthodontic palate expander. And when their truck crash, Clifton hijacks a plow driver, smashes the radio, and drags Luke towards a fenced compound. And it's called HARP. Now, you told me that you had heard of this HARP before, Sush, that a lot of conspiracy theorists have ideas
like
around
a thing
it.
they talk about,
Yeah. So it's a real-life Alaskan research site that, again, conspiracy theorists love. Back in town, Sydney tracks Havelock's trail to a motel that doubles as what seems like a safe house. In it, they find fake passports and a hidden case labeled Archive 6, and they think it's that archive with all the spy names on it.
Gotcha.
Then she gets a phone call from her sister that her mother, she's slipping into what the doctors diagnosed as vascular dementia. So her life is totally in turmoil. And Sydney's mom, meanwhile, thinks that she's talking to her dead husband while Sydney realizes that the phone is tapped. So she says into the tapped phone to leave her family alone. And then she heads to the bar to make a call. The bartender puts a drink in front of her and says, "The drink's from your husband." She turns around and there's Havelock. Meanwhile, back at HARP, Clifton forces Luke to record a manifesto about government surveillance. Luke, he just takes the camera and chucks it at Clifton Collins Jr.'s head, then breaks the equipment that they had brought with them and stabs Clifton in the leg before escaping. Meanwhile, Frank and Sarah arrive just as Clifton limps after Luke. Gunfire erupts. Clifton Collins Jr. takes Luke as hostage. And then Sarah, being the badass she is, slams into him with a car, instantly killing him. So as sirens fade, Frank, Sarah, and Luke, they drive off. They're battered, but they're alive. Luke, meanwhile, asks what's going on. After hearing the developments, he's like, "So it's not over?" And Frank's like, "Not even close." So back in town, the community gathers for Donnie's memorial at the Mecca Bar. Frank gives this heartfelt toast, and then he discovers that the drive that had been given to Sarah when she was kidnapped by Havelock, it isn't the archive. It is the coordinates for a plane and possibly malware that brought it down. They realized that Clifton Collins Jr. was going to HARP because he knew that he could create a power outage that could massively affect the area. Frank goes to make a phone call about it, but before he can, all the lights flicker and everything goes dark. And that's when the episode ends.
Damn, y'all.
Yeah, we had a lot happen this week, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I found it really interesting to learn more about the Clifton Collins Jr.'s role. And it's interesting that surveillance really took a big role in this episode, both with Sydney being surveilled by, assuming it's the CIA, who's listening in on her calls, her family's calls. And then again, we've got Clifton, who's paranoid, but also as someone who was an engineer. He had knowledge. So we're like, how much of that knowledge is real? How much is paranoia? Big paranoia episode today between all these movies and the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, Sush?
Well, unfortunately, this is actually my least favorite episode so far.
Oh.
I'm hoping that it was just a one-off and not going to get worse. The episode was eventful as far as like the degree of tension and seriousness of the events that actually take place. But if you remember, like my roller coaster theory from the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was just hoping for more action or at least a plot that would pose new questions. But unfortunately, I don't think it did a good job delivering either of those things. Clifton Collins Jr. is like giving his role way more than it really deserves, since he's basically supposed to be playing a crazy conspiracy theorist who's trying to blow up HARP. Instead, I feel like his portrayal of the character almost had me at the start.
Yeah.
Since he, like you were saying, was somebody who was in a position where he could have actually found out what he claims to know, but then nope. They just end up making him crazy conspiracy theorist in the end. So, yeah, that wasn't great, even though he like did the best that he could, more than it really deserved. And then the Sarah character.
Oh, yeah. I didn't put a ton into the summary, but man, she had a lot.
Frank's wife is really starting to get noticeably inconsistent.
Yes.
I don't know if it's supposed to be how her character is, if they're trying to write her all over the place, or if it's unintentional, but there's a part that she says she knows what it means to be a cop's wife.
Right.
But then later on, she tells Frank that he has to choose between family or job.
Yeah.
It's like the guy's in the middle of a crisis and you just successfully rescued your son. Couldn't you cut him a break? Since it's really your fault for delaying action from being taken in the first place, but not giving him the data from Havelock, right?
Right.
Oh, but she's completely sympathetic towards like Sydney and her family situation too, that she overhears and doesn't think it's her fault like either. Like what is this? Pick one or the other, you know, but
I feel like this character, the way I can think of it is she's either very realistic as an infuriatingly inconsistent person, or it's almost like she's two different characters that they mashed together.
Yeah.
You know, like there's something about it that feels off.
Right.
Sure.
And then the last thing that I was going to point out is that I seriously hope whatever this secret Frank has been keeping from his wife is big enough of a deal when it finally gets revealed, because we're still kicking that can down the road. And like we barely touched on it in this episode. I think maybe they're getting closer to at least like the information being out there, even if they haven't like come across it yet. But, you know, we don't really get an update from it. It's more like they're dealing with the current situation and then there's a blackout. Like what?
Yeah. You know, something that I was just thinking about is this is a show where we are constantly getting sidelined. Like I still don't know almost anything about Sydney or Havelock. And they should be the main characters.
Like they're revealing stuff, but I still don't feel like I know enough about what's going on, like what their intentions are, what their motivations are. We just know what they have done to kind of just illustrate what they're capable of, maybe, but what the hell drives each of them to do what they do.
Even the flashbacks, now that I think about it, are a little bit lacking, because Sydney is a very uptight, buttoned up kind of miserable person.
Yeah.
And for her to go from that to being in love with and marrying this dashing CIA guy, I would have liked to have seen how that happened. But in the flashbacks, they just jump to it.
And and it's a big cliche at this point, considering that we've had shows like Homeland. Was that the one with the Claire Danes?
That was great. Yeah.
It's like we've done that story before. So like, are you really trying to do this all over again, but just in Alaska instead?
Yeah.
It's like you just changed the climate.
Yeah.
But I
honestly think the show is distracting me, you know?
Yeah.
Because I finish an episode, I think, whoa, that happened and that happened. Like in this episode, it was cool to see Luke stand up for himself. But then when I think about it, I'm like, why did all that happen?
I don't know. If I really wanted to be critical, like if I really wanted to dunk on this show, I would just say that it almost feels like disaster porn. You know, like every time you think that something is getting better, or at least maybe one thing kind of gets resolved, then something goes wrong again. So it's like there's always a consistent rebalancing of things going wrong. It never really gets to a point where you feel like they're going to get out of this hole. So, I mean, maybe we will later on in the season. I'm hoping we do, because I do like a lot of the actors in this. But I just feel like so far it's whatever at this point.
Okay. I just looked on Rotten Tomatoes at the creator of the show.
Yeah.
His highest rated property has a 21% critic score.
Okay.
So, you know, I think we might be dealing with, Well, we'll continue on. We're halfway through. There's 10 episodes, so we're going to keep on plugging away and tell you the highlights.
For sure.
All right, so that is what we watched this week. As far as what we're doing for our look ahead, what we're going to watch this coming week, number 1, Predator Badlands. I'm super pumped for this.
Oh, yeah.
We're also interested in Die, My Love, and possibly Christie. I'm a little on the fence with Christie. And then for TV, we got more Chair Company and more Last Frontier.
Cool.
Excellent. So what do we have for today, wrestling-wise?
For oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got SmackDown, Saturday night's main event, and Raw. I'm going to take them in that order. Let's kick off with SmackDown. I'm just going to omit anything that kind of leads to a match that's taking place at Saturday night's main event. But SmackDown on the 31st was in Salt Lake City as well for promos and drama. In typical, please don't forget these guys, we promised to do something with them fashion. We get a backstage moment with R-Truth and the Motor City Machine Guns, which I'm just going to refer to him as MCMG. Truth is dressed in a Santa suit, and MCMG asks if he's dressed as Santa for Halloween. Truth kind of laughs and tells him that it's December. Like, it isn't literally Halloween. I thought this was just another moment to make Truth look like an idiot. But apparently, actually, it was a setup so Solo could waltz in and call him an idiot.
Oh, brother.
After that, he moves on to insulting MCMG, and they have a back and forth that I don't really want to get into detail about because it's a bit cringy. The end result is that MCMG challenges the MFTs, which Solo takes off to have Nick Aldis confirm. I didn't really understand why Sammy would be backstage trying to convince Nick Aldis to back up the MCMGs in their match when he admits to not being cleared medically, I guess. But I suppose it makes more sense after we hear Sammy reason that it's because the MFTs have a tendency to have people interfere in the matches. But luckily, Sammy backs off after Aldis pleads with them to sit this one out. So, you know, that's what happens there. We get a weird moment after Cody runs into Sammy where Aldis asks him to confirm that he wasn't involved with the attack on Jacob Fatu. It's just weird that he would ask this specific detail on camera unless they were trying to tease a Cody heel turn, which we're constantly told that will never happen. And if we aren't being lied to about that, then why bother to act out and capture this moment? Man, WWE really is out there trying to give each one of the MFTs their own storyline. I mean, it feels that way because like Solo and them run into Dragon Lee backstage. Solo asks if he wants to fight, and when Dragon Lee says no and seems to be walking off, Solo tells him to go trick or treat or something.
I love that. See, Solo's funny when they let him.
When they let him be funny.
Yeah, that's my fave.
Yeah, but in an unintentionally hilarious moment, Dragon turns back and heads at Talatanga, stepping onto a platform so he can get to the proper height to stare into his eyes, saying he wants to fight him to pay him back for being attacked last week before, and slaps him before heading off. This leads to another match Solo is going to have Nick Aldis confirmed for next week. Wait, like, why is next week's SmackDown turning into like 50% MFT matches?
Oh my God.
But anyway, we get a fun video promo from Damian Priest wishing Aleister Black a happy Halloween. I can't wait until these guys get into it again, or actually, I can't wait until Damian Priest beats on Aleister again. It's more like it. All right, let's get into the matches. We get the U.S. Championship Open Challenge with Ilya Dragunov. So we get a sizzle reel for him before the match. When WWE has one of these things airing pretty much before the match, it almost feels like they aren't confident that the wrestler can sell themselves. So it's either that or they're trying to kill time instead of having it spent during a match. But anyway, Fraxium's music hits. Both of the dudes come out, but it ends up looking like Nathan Frazier is going to challenge Dragunov. But right before that happens, Tommaso Ciampa barges in and heads towards the ring. Frazier and Ciampa get into an argument in ring, but Dragunov breaks it up and dismisses Ciampa, saying Frazier was there first. I think this is the first time I've seen Frazier in a solo match, or at least in a while. And yeah, it was awesome. Dragunov really sells Frazier as a worthwhile competitor. Frazier really gives what feels like everything he has. Both of these guys just beat the shit out of each other nonstop for almost 20 minutes. Eventually, Dragunov lands a nasty powerbomb on Frazier and follows it up with an H-bomb for the win.
Nice.
I guess Ciampa's probably challenging for the U.S. title next week because after Frazier leaves the ring, post-loss, Ciampa attacks him. It eventually leads into a backstage brawl between DIY and Fraxium that Dragunov ends up breaking up. Tamatanga, being creepy as hell, apparently is doing more creepy grunts and holds Dragunov's U.S. title, which I guess makes him a potential challenger for it as well. Do we need to line up challenges if there's an open challenge for this title?
That's a good point.
Next, we move on to Kit Wilson versus Carmelo Hayes. Oh, but I forgot to mention Dragunov retains. Kit Wilson versus Carmelo Hayes. Wilson's vest looks like an off-white knockoff.
Ooh,
yeah,
fancy.
Can WWE get sued for that stuff? Like, you'd think a company or a corporation like TKO wouldn't be this messy with using other people's IP. Especially with like WWE historically creating new names for talent that they can trademark, you know? But anyway, moving on to the match. It was kind of trash, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Like, Kit Wilson seemed to be as capable as Mello, but then somehow after The Miz interferes and sends Mello into a ring post, Kit can't even manage to win. After that, in an elbow drop, like, I don't know. Kit seems to just run directly into Mello, giving him the first 48. Like, what is going on, guys? If that isn't bad enough, we have The Miz giving Mello a skull-crushing finale after Mello wins, basically letting us know that their tired-ass feud isn't over yet. Next, we got Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss. I don't know if it's just me, but I swear that WWE has just been fumbling Nia Jax since her title loss. If she doesn't seem as excited in ring, I wouldn't even blame her because it feels like she's basically been benched like this entire time if she's not been pulled in for some petty angle. I know WWE can do better because I can remember actually enjoying some of the matches with her maybe like 6-7 years ago. 6-7.
Hey, 6-7. The children love it.
Yeah. But man, like, I was so tired of watching this match that by the time Charlotte distracted Nia and Alexa pinned Nia, I was just happy for it to be over.
Oh, no.
Like, I remember coming across an article that described Alexa folding Nia over like an omelet for the pin. And watching it over again, that was honestly the best description I could have
I love
given
it
for that. Yeah. Next is Motor City Machine Guns versus the MFTs, specifically JC Mateo and Tama Tonga. Before I get into this match, I just want to apologize for saying I didn't really care about MCMG in one of the previous episodes of the podcast because I know they've had a career across other promotions like TNA, New Japan, AEW. So I think the actual problem is that WWE has just done a poor job of marketing them.
Yeah.
And I don't care about them in this promotion currently. You know, we got Corey spending a good portion of the start of this match basically making excuses for why MCMG haven't been competing as much, even though they won the tag titles a year ago.
Yeah.
Is it really because they realized the competition was tougher than expected? If that's the case, shouldn't they have never won the tag titles in the first place? Are people aware they've been in like no matches lately?
Yeah, really.
I don't know. I just feel like most fans don't really care to have like a kayfabe excuse in response to all this stuff. We really think Solo and the other MFTs are going to interfere with this match at some point too? All right, whatever. But yeah, MFTs win.
Okay.
So that's the end of SmackDown. Moving on to Saturday night's main event, also in Salt Lake City. I'm just going to give letter grades and notable moments for each of the matches, and then overall thoughts and a letter grade for the whole event. So let's get into it. First match is the undisputed WWE Championship No Champions Advantage match, where basically disqualification results in a title loss. That's Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. This match and even some of the lead up to it has really felt forced and like something of a keep warm button for both of these guys. I suppose it makes sense since they're arguably two of the top main eventers in SmackDown and both over with the fans. So the company wants to keep them on TV and in events. But yeah, I definitely think that creative could have either come up with a stronger storyline or just had Cody matched up with someone else for it. Like, weren't we just teasing Randy Orton going after Cody's belt like a month ago?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, for most of the duration of the match, we have Drew basically trying to get Cody set up to get disqualified or counted out so he can win the title easily, given the stipulations. My biggest complaint about this whole angle with Drew overall is that it made him seem like a guy who whines a lot about others breaking the rules, when we all know he does it way more often. Sure, I get this serves its purpose if it's going to, you know, make the fans feel this way about him, and that's what creative wants, but I just don't believe, given Drew's ability, that he would have to resort to any of this stuff. Yeah, I think I've said this before. But I thought the finish was stupid too, even though I figured we were going to get something like it. But Drew clearly was holding onto the belt when Cody gives him the DDT.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, is it Cody's fault that he benefits off of it and wins the match? Like, regardless, I don't think there's a point over discussing it because I can guarantee on the next SmackDown, Drew's going to be complaining about it. Or if we're incredibly lucky, creative will just move on to the next storyline for both of these guys and they'll pretend it never happened and never mention it again.
Please.
I gave this a grade C. Moving on, WWE Women's Championship between Tiffany Stratton defending against Jade Cargill. I went into this match assuming Jade would win because we've heard news that Tiffany had a legit knee injury even before SmackDown. The previous night kind of made it a point to mention it. Knowing this in a way, I almost feel bad for Tiffany because I assume that the frustration that we've been seeing from her character lately has been coming from a real place, which I feel maybe due to her injury. This type of stuff is always weird to me because I don't know if WWE like uses any criteria to decide when to acknowledge a legit injury or create a storyline to kind of cover for it. I guess this is a problem, when you have a company that does stuff like Unreal, But anyway, I would have graded this match lower than I did. But I am just glad that WWE is finally just letting Jade do what she does best, which is be the imposing powerhouse in the women's division. She ran pretty much the same character in AEW, and I thought it was fine. So I don't really think there's a reason why she can't do it again. I just think sometimes, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. I don't get why creative has been trying to make her more of a technical wrestler when she's perfectly fine as somebody who just woman handles everyone and wins matches quickly. So yeah, I gave that one a C as well. Moving on, we have the Intercontinental Championship triple threat match between Dominic Mysterio defending against Rusev and Penta.
Oh, can I just interject?
Yeah.
You got to look for the video, if you haven't seen it, guys, of Rusev scaring a child during this match.
Oh, yeah.
It's
great.
Beautiful. Okay, I'll let you continue.
It's just no problem. But yeah, as much as I enjoy watching Penta and Rusev, and I definitely think that the, wrestling in this match was above par. I went into this match with like a 50-50 assumption that this was probably going to be another match to showcase how slick Dom is with getting away with being a little stinker. And we got arguably one of the best Dom, tricks just in time for Halloween. For a moment, it seems like somebody might have mistakenly assumed that Penta tapped out when Rusev has him in an accolade. But then we cut over to the camera by the bell and see that Dom actually was the one who rang it.
Oh, man.
Good. Yeah, Rusev's obviously pissed off, so he chases after Dom, but eventually Dom manages to push him into the steel steps.
Steel.
And gets back into the ring to grab the bell hammer. But Penta steps on it and is about to hit him with it. Instead, Dom ducks and he ends up knocking out Rusev. It seems like Penta doesn't even get a chance to react since Dom ends up driving him into the ring post and landing a frog splash on the down Rusev for the win. I give that one a B.
Nice.
And then the last match for the event was a World Heavyweight Championship match between Jey Uso and CM Punk. I don't think this was necessarily a bad match, but I think what was working against it was the slowish pace of the match. Barrett at one point even mentions Jay's slowing down the pace like Roman does.
Ooh.
Punk really never eases off of Jay for the first half of it, and there were definitely storyline elements that overshadowed it. I felt Jay looked a bit messy. I think it was intentional to drive home the point that he's kind of dealing with this uncertainty in his character arc. I mean, Punk even pours water on his head in the middle of the match to drive home that he doesn't feel like dude is with it. I gave that one a B as well. Overall thoughts, I think this event could have been a really good SmackDown instead of a Saturday Night's main event. I don't think we covered the last Saturday Night's main event on the podcast, but I kind of felt the same way about the last one too, except maybe I enjoyed it a little bit more due to LA Knight versus Seth Rollins in that one. And possibly also Goldberg finally getting retired. I could complain about quality, but if WWE PLEs have been a bit weak lately, I think it's safe to say that Saturday Night's main event won't be any better. We at least got a tournament to decide John Cena's match. We get an announcement for that. I thought that was a great idea.
I'm really excited.
There's way too many potential challengers to consider, so, they might as well turn that into a storyline.
I can't wait. I really hope they get Joe Hendry in there.
Yeah, but the overall grade for the event, I give it a C.
Okay.
And then moving on to Raw in Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Ooh.
This past Monday the 3rd, promos and drama. We get a video recap of the World Heavyweight Championship match from Saturday Night's main event, followed by CM Punk heading in ring to cut a promo, noticeably having a great time greeting the fans and enjoying the crowd, cheering him for his win.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Hell yeah. He starts out thanking others for making his victory possible. His wife, the WWE Universe, Jey Uso, then calls some people out and basically ends off saying that he's ready for anyone who's earned or deserved a chance at his title. For as much as I hate Logan Paul in general, I will say that the one thing creative seems to get right consistently is how to leverage him to be the most annoying character in WWE whenever he's active. Punk is so hilariously disappointed that out of everyone, Paul is the first to respond to his willingness to take on any challenger. I admit it could just be a Chicagoland thing, but I could 100% relate to Punk in that moment.
Oh my God, I know.
Yeah, Punk doesn't even get to respond to Paul's absurd claim that he should be next in line to challenge him when we suddenly hear Paul Heyman on the mic entering with the bronze. They head into the ring. Eventually, Breakker gets on the mic and tells Punk and Paul to leave the ring or else. Paul tries to leave, gets shoved by Breakker, and him and Reed head in ring to beat down CM Punk. Paul walks away slowly, looks back at CM Punk, fending for himself, but eventually heads back in to help Punk out. The Bronze immediately make him regret it, but Punk returns to the ring with a chair and nails Reed with it, leading to the Bronze and Heyman exiting. Later on backstage, we see Punk run into Jay. There's some initial tension, but it blows over really quickly, and Jay thanks Punk for Saturday's match and offers his help against the Vision, saying he feels like he should help him in his heart, you know. Sounds like Jay is at least trying to listen to himself now after seemingly everyone close to him, you know, pulling him in different directions. So Punk accepts his help. This leads to the final match of the night being called, which is Punk and Jay versus the Bronze. Next, Dom cuts an in-ring promo.
Yes.
Claiming that he's the greatest Intercontinental Champion, AAA Mega Campeon, and greatest luchador of all time. But Daddy's home, as Joe Tessitore shouts out when Rey Mysterio's music hits. So good to see him back after being out on injury for almost half a year. Rey gets on the mic, basically tells Dom he went too far in proclaiming he's the best luchador, given the many legends in Lucha Libre that came before him. What starts as a verbal argument between father and son ends up getting physical, with Rey landing a 619 on Dom, leading Dom to retreat. Honestly, you should really try catching the highlight on WWE's YouTube or something, because it's a great setup to what I assume is going to be Dom's babyface turn.
I love it. I loved all of it.
Yeah. I wanted to make a point to mention this. Holy shit. Dom is so over that the Dirty Dom chants almost drown out Rey at one point when he's on the mic. Yeah, I'm just really looking forward to everything playing out between the both of them, because they're both so over that we're pretty much guaranteed a good time, even if WWE somehow fumbles the storyline. We get a few teaser moments with Adam Pearce backstage regarding tonight's announcement of Raw's first round matches for the tournament to decide the challenger for John Cena's final match. That was a mouthful. Later in the night, the first round matches are mentioned that are scheduled for next week's Raw, and they are Damian Priest versus Rusev and Sheamus versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Yep. Before the match against the Kabuki Warriors, we get a backstage moment with Lyra and Bayley. Lyra's visibly frustrated with Bayley over last week's loss and seems too preoccupied with the Kabuki Warriors. I think they're both horrible in the storyline, but I almost have to side with Bayley that they should be focusing on the Kabuki Warriors anyway, since they're literally about to have a match against them.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, Barrett and Tessitore are commenting about the whole situation. Becky Lynch steps out of the announce table and gets on the mic. Man, she sounds like she's really going through it.
Aww.
Yeah, she kicks off with the usual mentions, hot husband, how she's the greatest female wrestler of all time, and how it isn't just her saying it, but also other people say it. Sports Illustrated says it, or whatever. And then goes on to talk shit about Maxine Dupree and basically ends off telling her, welcome to the big time, where one wrong move could apparently be her last. Just a solid promo from Becky, since this is on brand for her character as far as how she would react to someone as inexperienced as Maxine. She leaves the ring after this and crosses paths with the Kabuki Warriors, who are entering for their match. Her and Asuka pause to stare each other down before heading off, like just teasing another potential future conflict. Let's move on to the matches.
Let's do it.
First, we got Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella versus Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. We are over 30 minutes into Raw before we get to this first match. I enjoyed it, but mainly for being able to watch Raquel and Roxanne beat on Nikki Bella for a good portion of it. You know, I'm not even mad for WWE burning a little time to show a recap of Nikki just getting wailed on by Roxanne last week. When I usually don't like them wasting time with that stuff. But yeah, it's hilarious how much slack everyone has to pick up for Nikki because she's so bad. Vaquer, the announcers, and the Judgment Day ladies are luckily enough to make her somewhat tolerable. The only moves she seems to land properly are obvious spots, like the double crossbody she does off the apron with Vaquer. If there's any takeaways from this match other than that, they're probably just that Raquel and Roxanne finally seem to be getting the push that they both deserve. Yeah. But let me make this clear. You can pretty much assume I'm going to dislike anything Nikki Bella is involved in until further notice. I'm sorry, but if you didn't hear my explanation of why I feel this way from one of the previous episodes, I just think she needs to be sent back to the Performance Center to work on reaching the level that the women's division is currently at right now. A lot's changed since the Divas era. And I also dislike this Vaquer's BFF angle that's rumored to lead to a heel turn for her, for Nikki, I mean. WWE, feel free to prove me wrong, but I just don't feel like her acting skills have been able to sell me on her close friendship with Vaquer. So I'm not looking forward to something that would probably require even more difficulty to deliver. There's a backstage moment where Nikki is apologizing to Vaquer for the loss because it apparently resulted in Raquel getting a title match for Vaquer's heavyweight championship next week. Jesus Christ. I knew this was probably going to happen with the storyline, but Nikki's whole act is just awful. And unfortunately, after Vaquer has debuted as a silent stoic character, involving her in this story with Nikki just works against that persona. I just can't wait till this is fucking over.
Her acting is just really not up to par.
It's bad, and the wrestling is also bad. I mean, they obviously don't win. Raquel and Roxanne win. Next match, El Grande Americano with the other Americanos, Rayo and Bravo. Ringside versus Penta. Ashley and I were watching this match and we're like, remember when this whole Grande Americano thing was supposed to be a Chad Gable thing? But yeah, as usual, Penta was great. But I really found myself paying attention to El Grande during the match. He just seems like a really interesting contrast against other luchadors because I noticed that like his height kind of allows him to slow down his pace. Like he's fast when he wants to be, but otherwise I feel like his advantage has been that he can slow down the pace when he wants to leverage his size or height instead of his speed. It's crazy how good Ludwig Kaiser has settled into this role to the point where he's like over with the AAA fans and has 2 cronies now. But Bravo and Rayo take turns trying to interfere, and they both get caught and ejected by the ref. Rayo manages to slip El Grande a metal plate that he tucks into the forehead of his mask. Penta dives into Rayo after he's ejected. He returns to the ring, and a recovered El Grande immediately tries to headbutt him with the metal plate, but Penta manages to catch him with a kick, then finishes him off with a Mexican Destroyer for the win. Rayo and Bravo return to the ring to try to attack Penta, but he avoids both of them and slides out of the ring for the escape. There we go, Penta for the win.
Penta.
Next, we got Kabuki Warriors versus Lyra Valkyria and Bailey.
Oy.
This match actually wasn't bad. I thought I would be less enthusiastic about it because of how much I hate the Lyra and Bailey characters lately.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that when you're at least as skilled as they are, as far as wrestling goes, it's easy for people to kind of forget how bad your character is written when you're not on the mic. I definitely feel like Lyra did well fending off what felt like an onslaught from Asuka, and both her and Bailey have been noticeably more aggressive in the ring. Unfortunately, I still don't think it's enough. As Lyra is about to hit a high-flying maneuver, Asuka catches her and makes her tap with the Asuka lock. Charlotte and Alexa make an appearance and run into the ring as the Kabuki Warriors are celebrating their victory and taunting Lyra and Bailey. The Kabuki Warriors let up and kind of get out of the ring just in time before Charlotte and Alexa make it in. So, you know, it doesn't end with a fight. Actually, more just a fashion show because Charlotte is rocking this black leather getup that's kind of like Alexa's.
It looked cool. I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's cool because I guess it's just more evidence to support that there's an effort behind him to make this tag team last for a while. Related to this, later in the night, we get an announcement that a women's tag team championship match has been scheduled for Raw next week, with the Kabuki Warriors finally getting their opportunity to challenge for the titles. Next match, World Tag Team Championship match. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending against the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and JD, basically just a rematch for, to try to get their titles back. Leading up to the match, we get a backstage moment with the Judgment Day, initially starting as a celebration with Roxanne, Finn, and JD over Raquel's title match against Stephanie that got confirmed for next week. That gets interrupted fairly quickly over Dom raging out about his dad's return. Finn and JD don't seem to be sympathetic, even though Dom seems oblivious, why the guys seem to be frustrated at him. Raquel bluntly tells him that it's basically his fault that the guys lost their tag titles. But obviously, Roxanne takes a sweeter approach by appealing to Dom's ego as the king of the luchadors and convinces him to help out the guys during their tag match. But yeah, for as great as AJ Styles and Dragon Lee are, Finn and JD really sold themselves in this match as a great tag team. I think I mentioned this last week, but it sounds like they're trying to stay together as a tag team even after the Judgment Day inevitably goes through a split. Dom again tries to engage in some hijinks in an effort to help out Finn and JD, but once again it backfires. Luckily, Finn still seems to be willing to leverage Dom for his help. Or did he just set him up for a sneak attack by Sheamus? Regardless, Finn takes advantage of the distracted ref and nails AJ with a shillelagh so JD can pin him for the 3 count. But Dragon stops it just in time, and while it seems like all hell is breaking loose with Sheamus continuing to pummel Dom outside of the ring and Dragon going after Finn, AJ Styles manages to catch JD as he's on the top rope and takes him out with a Styles Clash for the win. So yeah, they retain.
Nice.
And then the last match of the night, CM Punk and Jey Uso versus The Vision, the Bronze, with Paul Heyman. This match actually ended without a winner due to double count out. Leading into the match, we see Jay in the locker room and Paul Heyman weirdly sitting near him, trying to get in his head about his alliance with CM Punk. I guess we're supposed to believe that it at least kind of works because Jay has that typical pondering look that he gets whenever people try to give him advice.
He's thinking real hard.
But yeah, whenever the starting bell for the match rings with only 15 minutes left in the show, unless it's a case of challengers being severely outmatched, I have to assume there's going to be some hijinks involved. Sure enough, this ends up being the case. I mean, we even get a goddamn commercial slotted in between this match, showing you how much they probably didn't care to have an actual match. Really, this is all just a setup for Logan Paul to seemingly run into the ring with his brass knuckles to help out Punk and Jay, but instead, he nails Punk in the face with them and hands them over to Paul Heyman like he's accepting some sort of invitation to be part of the Vision. Sure. Well, that was wrong.
All right. Okay.
upcoming, all we really got is AEW Full Gear is coming up on November 22nd in Newark. And then we do have AEW Blood and Guts, was one of those like mid-week events where they like do Dynamite and then extend it into Collision. So that should be worth checking out. But yeah, that's about it.
Excellent. Well, it's a big week for conspiracy people and then just, some crazy wrestling.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week at the same time. In the meantime, send us a note if you have anything you'd love for us to review. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, as we should watch that. And, if you're feeling up to it, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, rate, and review.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you. Bye.
Later.
Ships touch. Movies and delights will share so much. Let's enjoy this side.